What's good, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Casual Crossover Podcast. Today we are recording on June 29th, right after the Bucks versus Hawks game 4. And the highlight of the game, I guess, is to begin with was Trae Young was out for game 4. And then in the third quarter, I believe, of the game, Giannis had a pretty nasty injury. Do you guys want to talk about your thoughts about the series and about Giannis' injury?
Well, I mean, even before he was injured, like the Bucks weren't playing very well today, right? Without Trae Young, you would think they would have a big enough lead, even if he got injured. They could probably still win it, but it wasn't even close. And I don't know, his injury, like I don't know, it's too early to diagnose. Like from the video, it looked like his knee just went the other way, right?
Yeah.
It could be a dislocation, which isn't as bad. But if he goes like hyperextension, if it depends on the MCL and ACL, like that can be like he might be out for next season if it's it's that point.
Yeah, I think I agree with Clark as well. With Trae Young out for the game 4, right?
Yep.
Yeah, like I was expecting Milwaukee to build a big lead and pretty much take this series over, right? Like take this win, so you'll be up 3-1.
Yeah.
Right. You will be 3-1. Yeah, but not taking advantage of that. Not playing well, and then now you lose Giannis as well. Yeah, like I think that's a big problem for them. And we don't know how severe Trae Young's injury is. If Trae Young is good to go for Game 5, then I feel like Atlanta have all the momentum. And like what Clark and Alex is saying, if you guys are saying if the injury is pretty severe, he might be out for the rest of the playoff. Out for the rest of the series, and probably out for the remaining of the playoff.
Yeah.
So yeah, it doesn't look good for the Milwaukee for sure. Depending on how serious the injury is, but at the same time, I think another point I want to point out is they really hasn't been playing that well this whole playoff. They're like a legit contender for the championship this year, and for them to be just like not really playing well at all, I don't know if they even deserve to win it. To be honest,
That's interesting.
This is the Final Four, right? So
right.
Any like the winner this year is I don't think they've ever not ever won, but it's been a while. Right, it's been a while. Like for Milwaukee, the Clippers never won. Phoenix
never won.
And Atlanta, maybe back.
Atlanta's won before, and Milwaukee's won before. But that's also like Kareem. It's probably like 70s, 50s, like those types of like that's the type of like drought that all these teams have.
Yeah. Yeah,
like honestly, I think regardless of Giannis's injury, like the severity of his injury, just by looking at it, like we're no experts, right? But that looks like a hyperextension at the least. At the very least, that was a hyperextension. I think that alone is enough to keep him out for at least this series. And without Giannis, like I just don't see how they can beat Atlanta, because I feel like Trae Young might be able to come back. Right, but even without Trae Young, like I don't know, like
even if Trae doesn't come back and Giannis doesn't come back, I think Atlanta still beats the Bucks.
I think they have a deeper like rotation. They have better, bench players and everything, and it's just they look like a better team, without the star, without their best player each. Right, like Atlanta's probably the better team.
So imagine Atlanta going to the finals without Trae Young.
Yeah, and then they either match up the Clippers or the Suns. Like, if the Suns win it all this season, like, how big of an asterisk are we putting it on? Like, are we putting on this season's championships? You know, like this, like I know a lot of people are saying like they want to put an asterisk on the bubble championship last year. Like, if anything, this is even worse. Like,
Well, I think it's both, because like the Lakers bounced and the Heat got bounced first round. So
yeah,
yeah, a little bit of both. I think. Wait, who did the Clippers just beat in round two?
Utah.
Utah.
Utah. Okay.
Utah didn't have they didn't have a fully healthy Donovan Mitchell,
Mitchell, yeah.
and also they had a hobbling Mike Conley, right? They faced a hobbling
Yeah.
Mike Conley.
So round one they beat injured Lakers, and they beat
Or Suns. You're talking about Suns? Suns,
yeah,
they beat
Suns,
injured Lakers.
yeah,
And then they played Denver without Jamal Murray
yeah.
and
Now they're
without
playing
Will Barton,
the
right?
Kawhi Clippers.
And then now they're playing, yeah, a whole series of Clippers without Kawhi,
Yeah.
which is like that's such an easy path. Like I don't want to sound like I'm hating, but man, there's no easier path to the finals than this. Like you can't get any easier, right?
I don't like. I'll be honest. This year, I don't have a horse on like who wins. Like I'm not emotionally attached to any of these teams. Like I don't really care about whoever wins, but I'm starting to root against the Clippers. Sorry, the Suns
The Suns.
because of Chris Paul.
Yeah, I do really want to see like Atlanta be that, like, be it a one hit wonder. Like I would want to see them do it because like nobody even talked about them in the playoff, like in the beginning of the playoffs, right? Like we like went over them a little bit. Maybe they can upset the Knicks. And I remember clearly Clark saying, "Who cares about this series? Whoever comes out of this series is getting bounced the next round." And then look at where we are right now, right? Atlanta with potentially making the finals and winning it. Oh,
I don't think they're gonna win it.
Yeah, but that,
they can
but
set me wrong.
But that, for me, that is like what Alex. I remember you said it a couple episodes ago. It's bad for the league that if Atlanta can win the league this season, like win the championship, it just shows all those like the top teams like how bad they were this year.
yeah,
Like,
especially with the
it's not
injuries, right? Like
the
not that they're
opportunity.
bad.
No, like well, I feel like they all kind of choked in some ways. Right? Like, if like not saying it's not a good story that if Atlanta can ended up winning the title, but at the same time, it's just like a lot of the good teams. It's just like you guys are over relying on your superstars, and once you don't have a superstar, then it just kind of like, oh, you guys don't know what to do, and I mean, I don't know if if I'm saying it correctly, but I feel like that is gonna lead to something regarding the salary structure, right? Because a lot of teams they're relying on superstars, right? So because a lot of their salary goes to focus on like one or two superstar, and then so the rest of their roster, I guess they have to like really like kind of do a budgeting and stuff. But where you have Atlanta, where like you have a lot of your budget, like it's not like their payroll is big, but at the same time they're able to kind of balance it out balance it out more evenly to get a lot of really good players. But then when you have like like Lakers for example, where like LeBron and AD is already like half of the payroll, like there's gonna be more like discussion surrounding like the salary structure. Like what can they do to make it like is that still the way to go for the in the future for like salary and stuff?
Well, the reason why they're able to do this because Trae Young still has rookie contract.
John Collins too.
Yeah, so they're like Trae Young's gonna get his like max extension this summer, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so it's just the timing of things. But once that kicks in, or once they sign that, they're kind of stuck because they handed out quite a bit of money with Bogdanovich, Gallinari, Capella, right? So this is like their team, and like I'd be really curious about what they do with their young guys like Cam Reddish, DeAndre Hunter, Kevin Herter, like I don't know if they can keep all three. I don't think they can.
Well, I think they're obviously gonna start giving up. They're probably gonna they're most likely gonna give up Capella, right? Because now you have Okongwu coming in, right? Like
They still have
Okongwu is a lot smaller, but I think moving forward, like you would want someone like if you watch the way Okongwu was able to guard Giannis in game 3, it's pretty promising. Like you can see him replacing Capella, right? There's also Collins that Okongwu can replace. So Okongwu is in this kind of space where it kind of leaves Capella and Collins in the air, where it's like, okay, like the team might not keep me if they're not in a place where they can negotiate a high salary with.
Do you think? Do you guys think they're gonna keep Collins? Because earlier this year they couldn't come to an agreement on his contract extension. He wanted a max, and everyone thought he's crazy.
I think with what he did in the playoffs and him seeing how the team can actually be successful and build a winning culture, I think they can negotiate again and maybe convince Collins that, hey, you take less money, you get to stay on this team, that we can actually build something and maybe we can actually be something in the East, right?
I think his performance in this playoff give him more bargaining power, right? Because he's actually played pretty well the past couple of series, so he can actually he will actually feel like he deserved the max now, instead of like people like kind of like, oh, you need to justify to pay you the max. But now he actually no, but like I mean but he actually can use the past couple series and be like, hey, like I think I deserve the max. And I feel like I'm sure someone will pay him the max, right? But will it be the Hawks or will it be like somewhere else? And I think that's the key, right? So I feel like Atlanta is banking on, maybe if they win this championship, maybe that mindset will change, right? For these players, maybe like, oh, hey, we achieve, this accomplishment. Maybe Collins is willing to take like a discount because they want this title, right? Like riding the high, right? Riding the wave, right?
Well, I think,
but if they don't win it, then then they probably just let him go, right? If he asked for the max and they don't feel like he deserved it, then
if they win the championship, I would say give him the max, right? Give him the max.
You have to. By that point, you probably have to give him the max.
If you win it all, give it to them. Let them stay together. That's their core.
Yeah.
If not, it's who's gonna pay him max? I don't see it.
No, any team that is desperate.
I think Portland can definitely be a team that's going to throw out the money.
Portland's they're so high in payroll.
Well, they're about to offer Norm Powell, right? They're about to probably offer Norm Powell a big contract, right? So they can probably do the same. If they don't keep Norm Powell, they can probably get Collins because they don't have any front court depth, right?
Yeah. Okay. Zach Collins. And he's a free agent. Like I think he's done. He's done.
Yeah, it sucks. It sucks for that guy, right?
I think it's and I feel like he's a psychologist. It's like a mental. It's like a mental thing now, like a psychologically.
No.
Yeah. But man, if Atlanta can win the championship this season, what a great story that would be.
Yeah, that'd be really. I'd be happier if Atlanta won than the Suns. And don't get me wrong, like I really like DeAndre Ayton. Like I think he's a stud. Like I hope James Wiseman turns into DeAndre Ayton.
Yeah, you've been talking about that.
Like that's like my big because you look at DeAndre Ayton, his first year as a rookie, he wasn't very good. Like he really wasn't very good, but this is year 3 and he knows exactly his role and he does it well and he embraces it. Like wow, like if James Wiseman turned into that, like okay, watch out.
Yeah, facts.
But like Devin Booker, he's all right. He's all right. He's got to show me more. And then Chris Paul, like I was okay with it until he played that. He did that play with Beverly. When he got where Beverly picked up the flagrant foul one. Like
Oh,
that.
he almost
Just,
injured himself.
he did, and yeah, it'd be funny if he did. It'd be so ironic because he bounced off his own back by trying
Yeah,
to make a
yeah,
flop like that.
yeah.
And I see that play. I'm just like, this is why he gets injured every playoffs. Like he does like stuff like that. Just
Yeah. But hey, speaking of a good story, I want to mention one guy who's writing a really good story right now. Paul George, playoff P. What do you guys think?
if he gets them into the finals, like we're gonna call him playoff P, and pandemic P is gonna go to Porzingis.
I think he's already done enough. Like I think he's already done enough that we don't call him pandemic P anymore. He is legitimate playoff P. He just scored a career high 41 points, a playoff career high 41 points, right? To bring it back to force a game 6. I think that's pretty, that's pretty big.
It's good, but can you imagine if he just takes them to the finals?
Yeah.
Yeah, like that would be really special, I think.
I wanna use this episode, switch over to the topic of Paul George and talk to you guys a little bit about just the legacy of Paul George and just how he went from one of the most promising young players that we've had in the last like probably 10 years into a guy that's, just overhated. Everybody just calls him Pandemic P. Everybody likes to make fun of him. And until now, where he has to slowly redeem himself again and show everybody that he's actually, like a pretty worthy player of whatever elite status that people give him.
I think okay, me personally, sorry, I'll say it first. I think what he did this series, or I think this whole playoff, kind of shows me that this is my opinion, that he's not a number one guy though. I don't think he is. It sucks to say it. Because he was really promising, like he was gonna be a superstar until his injury. But like everybody who watches basketball or who knows some basketball can tell that Kawhi Leonard is the number one option in the Clippers.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and there's no way. I don't think if Kawhi Leonard was not in the Clippers, I don't think Paul George can lead Clippers into the. I would say they would be like kind of like that 7th or 8th seed, and not like a 4th seed. A third seed or 4th seed kind of thing. And like give him credit. I mean, like last game he was sensational. It was phenomenal. He had like those good games and stuff. But I just feel like he's. Can I even say like he's inconsistent?
Oh, that is the word. Like,
yeah,
when he's hot, he's super hot. But
yeah, when he's bad, he's pretty bad.
Yeah, he takes terrible shots, right?
Yeah.
And he rushes it. Like there's times like you don't need a 3. Like why? Why are you doing this? And there's still like say 3-4 minutes left in the game, and it's a close game. He'll go for that 3.
Yeah. And
then once they miss, it's so deflating.
Yeah, and I think that's where I'm looking at it. It's just like, he's not. I don't think he will ever be that number one anymore. I think he'll be, he's a number 2 for sure. Probably one of the top, number 2 option in any team. But he's just not consistent enough to be a number 1 option for a contending team. Like I don't think he can take you to the promised land.
Is Paul George the best second option in the league?
No.
Clark?
I'm thinking who are second options. Mike, why do you say no? Who do you have in mind?
Well,
Mike's probably thinking about Reggie Jackson right now.
no, I would even take Clay as the
Oh
second
yeah,
option.
that's who I was thinking
Right?
about. Like,
I'll take
Clay's
Clay.
back,
Okay,
like,
okay,
yeah,
I'll take Clay.
But talking about right now, how much faith
yeah,
do
right
you have
now.
in Clay after those 2 injuries that he'll still come back and be the best second option in the league?
Oh no, I still take Clay
80%.
over him.
Okay.
80%.
Yeah, I'll still take
That's
Clay
fair.
over him.
That's fair. That's fair.
Yeah, I'll still take AD or even LeBron, depending what's who's the one
Oh,
who's the
okay,
best who's the one who's the
That's
two
a
right now.
very hard
Right.
take because I don't know who is like I don't think AD is the clear cut second option, but can you argue for a case that any LeBron team that LeBron is the second option on the team?
Well,
Oh
they're
no,
two of the
but I
top
mean,
like 5
no,
guys in the league.
yeah, like okay, like I mean, for majority of people, they're gonna look at the Laker as LeBron's the first option, AD's the
Yeah.
second option, or interchange, right? So
Yeah.
for me, doesn't matter either one of them. Who else?
I think we talk about Harden and Kyrie. If
Yeah,
KD is a clear cut first, then
Yeah.
Harden is probably better. So I think Paul George can well be the top, maybe the third behind these 2 or 3 guys, the top 5 at least.
Yeah, top 5 for sure.
Yeah,
Top 5
but-
second option guys. Yeah.
yeah, but he's definitely not like the number one option. Like I just don't think any team is, also looking at him as the number one option too.
Well, yeah.
Like he's gonna need somebody.
Yeah.
To be with him to, for the team to have a chance to win it. But he's definitely not able to carry a team.
So, okay, so here's something that's interesting. What if Kawhi's like, hey guys, I'm out? It's Paul George's team then. Kawhi doesn't resign this summer. That's Paul George's team moving forward.
Okay, I want to talk a little bit about how I feel about Paul George. I before doing this podcast, I've just been thinking about Paul George, just like taking all the way back to when the first time I watched him when he was at Indiana, right, and then watching those years, before all of this recent stuff happening with him with the Clippers, and then last season, the catastrophic chokes, right? And especially even the last year on OKC when they lost to Portland, which they weren't supposed to lose. I think I always remember Paul George as being this guy that's like a very skilled and elite defender, very skilled offensive player, and it sounds kind of crazy, but he's reliable. I think he was reliable, right? Especially before his injury, he was very reliable as a player. You can always count on him to lead his team, right? Especially on when he was on Indiana playing against Miami. I looked up those stats. He averaged 22.6, 7.6 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals in the whole playoffs, right? That is something, I think.
No, here's my take on Paul George. I think the hate that he gets, it's self-inflicted.
Yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see
when
that
he was
case.
in Indiana,
I agree with that too.
He was adored in Indiana, right? But the way he ended that relationship with Indiana, obviously that kind of it took a hit on his reputation. But and then he goes to OKC, and then he's like, oh yeah, I'm here for life. And he bounces out in a year.
Yeah. 2 years. 2 years.
2 years. 2 years. And the first year they lost to Utah with a rookie Donovan Mitchell, right? So okay, what is this guy doing, right? And he goes to the Lakers. It was almost like blindsiding the fans.
Clippers.
Right? Clippers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that move was kind of blindside. And then he goes to Clippers. Hey, call me Playoff P. You don't give yourself these nicknames. It's self-inflicting. And you look at his history. Was he dating Doc Rivers' daughter?
Yeah.
Right, and then he decided to get a stripper pregnant.
Yeah.
And then that's his baby mama. He doesn't make the smartest decisions, right?
Yeah.
In terms of, when we talk about legacy, that's not That's not legacy. Like
he's kind of like the type that play that the type of player that I mentioned before. Like he hasn't like really achieved a lot yet, but he's already like kind of looking at himself as if like he already got a ring.
yeah,
Like he's already giving himself like that those like names about like, oh, I'm really good kind of thing. But he
Yeah,
hasn't really win anything yet.
yeah, I
Like
agree.
on like the Eastern like he led Pacers to like that Eastern Conference. They won that year, right? With the best record
Yeah,
regular season,
yeah,
right? So that was pretty much at his achievement, and then he made the All Star team, made couple like all defensive team, and like the All NBA second team kind of thing. But like he hasn't really actually win anything like a ring, right?
uh-huh,
So it's just for me, it's just like kind of like what Clark say. Like a lot of these criticism is like kind of himself inflicted to himself.
yeah,
So like if he needs to if he want to redeem himself, yeah, I think the only way is for him to really lead the Clippers to the final this year.
yeah,
And then people might start looking at him like, okay, maybe we were too harsh. If he can win the title, okay, then I think people can like finally stop making fun of him.
hmm
But I feel like he's always gonna get that you know that treatment, like where like people will always gotta be saying something bad about him, regardless of what happened until he wins a ring.
yeah. Like I don't know if that type of hate will end when he wins a ring because just seeing what he's been saying to the media in the last couple of years, I feel like Paul George really he should just keep some of his thoughts to himself. Like especially like one thing that really turned me off hearing from him last season was when they asked about his struggling offense during the playoffs, and he said, "Hey, I played both ends. I'm not James Harden." And then when I heard that quote, I'm like, "Come on, man! Like, what did James Harden ever do to you? Why you pull him out here and just criticize his defense out of nowhere like that? Like, who are you to do that, bro? Like, Harden won the MVP. You didn't win anything yet, right?"
Yeah.
I feel like his defense isn't where it used to be. Not even close.
No.
Like I don't even think he's a two-way player anymore. To be quite honest.
Yeah, I remember talking to Alex about that as well. I mean, like people need to stop calling him a two-way defender
He's
because
not.
Elite
he's
defender,
getting
like is this
yeah
elite, right? Like
yeah
Yeah, I don't think he's
right
even average.
yeah. Like I
he's
was telling
probably
Alex
just
like
average right now,
yeah
right?
I was telling Alex how like he's getting passed by like pretty much anyone anyone
Anybody.
that's on him.
Yeah.
So I'm just like he's a good defender, but don't get me wrong. But I mean we need to stop calling him like an elite an elite defender or something. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I don't even think he's good. I can't even say I can't think of one defensive play that was impactful that he made in the
like
last 3 years.
this season, right? Like last, like maybe few seasons. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
What is
like.
one defensive like memorable defensive play that he made at the end of a game?
I think like didn't he do something last game that was like that I thought like it was let me try to think. It was towards the end of the game, like he was
His shot.
he was picking Chris Paul, right? And then I think Chris Paul was backing down on him, and then he stole the ball, but they call a foul. I think that was okay. I think he did pretty good job on that. I don't know if it was a foul, but like that was a one time that where like I felt like he was actually
But he
doing
still got called for a foul, so it wasn't a clean. It wasn't a clean strip. Yeah. No, Paul George, self-inflicted. But here's what I do admire about him is he came into the league as a defensive player, so he had
Yeah,
to like develop his whole offensive game, kind of like Jimmy Butler. Like these guys were brought in to be like just defensive
defensive
stoppers.
specialist.
mhm.
Yeah, and they really blossomed their offensive game. So kudos to him. But he needs to stop singing his own praises and let other people do it for him.
Yeah. Let us do it for him.
Yeah.
Let us say, hey, Paul George is a great player, man. He's shooting, like pretty good. Like saying stuff like that about him, right? Not. Yeah, I don't know, man.
But yeah, it'd be huge if he gets to the finals, knocks out the Suns. Like holy crap! Like that he would change his reputation.
Yeah, sure. The entire narrative on him would definitely just change.
Yeah, and then if that happens, I was seeing Chris Paul. Like Chris Paul's gonna retire if he blows another 3-1 lead.
Yeah.
Anything that we want to add on, or
no? I think about Paul George, we've covered it pretty well. Just
we'll see what happens. We'll see how he do for the rest of the series, right?
Yeah, we'll see how he does the rest of the playoffs.
Wait, it might be over tomorrow, right?
It could be over tomorrow, but I hope it doesn't end tomorrow.
I hope not, man. I cannot. Think about this. If Chris Paul wins a ring, where's the basketball karma? Where's the basketball god? Like when you pull these moves all your career and do dirty plays, like, there's the basketball god's gonna come down.
Well, if he wins this year, this ring he gets this year, I don't want to sound like I'm hating, but this might be the cheapest ring in like the last 20, 30 years of basketball. Like given all the injuries happening to like almost all 16 teams that were in the playoffs, right? Like this ring might actually be the least impressive one.
But you know what? It's not going to get better next year because it's regular season, regular times again. It's back to an 82 game schedule. So again, it's like there's like a shorter turnaround,
right?
Because we're ending late, but we're starting back at October. So training camp is probably September.
Yeah.
Right? And for the players who are playing in the Olympics this summer, like they don't have an off season,
right?
So even next year, I don't think it's gonna get any better.
Yeah, we'll just have to see, right? But so far, right now, like this is a very like unimpressive postseason. I would think just based off of like I feel like we are robbed of a lot of great games and matchups.
Okay, let's wrap it up.
Yeah. All right. Thank you guys for always tuning in. Please hit the like button and subscribe if you guys like what we're talking about. And you guys always feel free to comment your thoughts, especially on Paul George. Thank you, and I'll see you guys next time.